Well, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the live trading webinar with myself, Giles Coughlin, and Paul Sanders. Hope everybody is doing well. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Giles.
How are you doing? How was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. I got some physical activity in, played some volleyball, which was nice, and
nice.
basketball, and watched some people play some spike ball.
Now, I've heard of spike ball, but I don't know what it is.
It's like you have a little round net, and small net's about 8 inches off of the ground. Then you have a small, somewhat not super inflated ball, and the idea is that you're going to hit the ball into the net from one person from the one side of the team A, and then you get 3 hits like volleyball. So you have like 1, 2, 3, and you kind of have this bump set spike type action, just like in volleyball. But it's a small net close to the ground, and so when you really hit it into the net, the ball can go quite a ways. And so you have a constant movement around the small. It's like 3 feet wide. So it's very small to the ground, 3 feet wide on the ground and about 8 inches from the ground.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's like a beach game.
Okay, yeah. Lots of funny moves, everyone diving around, that sort of thing.
That's it.
Yeah, nice.
That's it.
Yeah, good fun. You've been very active. It's good.
I have. I'm back. I'm all ready to sit down in the chair again. You get after you just like don't do anything physical. It's terrible.
Oh yeah, no. As I said, I had to do exercise to offset sitting at the desk positively because it was it's no good for you. Yeah, it's no good for you.
That's it. So
yeah, and so Najam's mum's had a road trip up to Bonnie, Scotland, to Edinburgh over the weekend. Very nice.
That's great. How'd you like the car?
You can't not like an XC40. Very good. Very good. That's it. Traveling in style.
Nice.
Right, here we go for another week.
So you've loaded up on a 300K account. So this is...
I just happened to see that Apex were doing a special offer on the 300,000 account, and it's around the same price as a 50,000 account, and with a 1-day pass, and it's an $85 sign-on once you pass.
Nice.
So I thought, you know what? That's rude not to. So yeah, exactly, Mark Anthony. Load up 2 points. Let's go for it. So I'm going to get active with that today and try and get a 300,000 account pass. That'd be lovely. Yeah,
nice.
You know, I was thinking exactly the same. What the target is on that? I think it's 6,000, but I haven't looked. Let me just go and check what that is. I think it's 6,000, isn't it? Let's have a look. Just having a look here. 20,000 profit goal. That's gonna take a bit of getting used to. Yeah, it's 20 grand profit goal.
What's the drawdown limit?
7,500.
Okay.
So that's that's huge, isn't it? Oh dear. Right, okay. So lovely. Should we get stuck into the session?
Let's do it.
It's nice and simple and incredibly complicated today. So the nice and simple element is simply that equity markets have simply woken up happy and on the front foot. There's good news from China. Last Friday saw a bit of a bump on Wall Street into the close, and there was general positive sentiment, just exhausted from all the selling. Natural retracement, and we've started Monday on exactly the same footing, but the complicated bit is all the tariffs, particularly the April the 2nd tariffs that are still due to come on. So Canada and Mexico are going to get that 25% whack. There's also reciprocal tariffs due from the US, and there's EU countermeasures tariffs due on the 2nd of April as well. So that's still looming ahead of us. We've got the Fed meeting on Wednesday, and the big picture is soft data says low US confidence, low business confidence, consumers hit, PMIs hit. We saw the University of Michigan print really weak, but then there was a massive political split, wasn't there, between the Democrats and the Republicans. So if you remember, something like with the Michigan print, Democrats saw this PMI at like 40 something, and Republicans had it at 80 something. So Republicans are like, things can only get better. Democrats are like, this is the end of the world. So it's very politically split. Now, The difficulty is, what do you make of that? I think I read one commentator that said, you might just look through it and say, oh, this is political noise, essentially, just to, ignore it. But at the very least, it shows you the capacity for a mismove at this stage is quite high because there's such diverging views. And I think that's a helpful way to look at it, that the Fed could easily make a policy misstep here, trying to, fiddle their way through this contradicting data. And the inflation prints, now the market pretty much ignored it, and look how high they came in. 4.9. 4.3 was a big jump last time. 4.9 is an even bigger jump. 3.9, that's a huge jump from 3.5 up to 3.9. When the 5-year inflation measure moves 0.1%, it was seen as huge. This is like 0.4%, and then previously I think it was 0.5%. So we've just had off the scale moves, and some commentators say that the Fed will see this as a self-fulfilling prophecy, that because people see higher inflation, they start to expect higher inflation, they're starting to negotiate higher prices. It's all kind of a self-fulfilling thing. So that's kind of the line to say, pay attention to this. But also we have to see what we saw on Friday, which was the stock market ignored it and stock started gaining. But it was a little bit harder to unpick because we had the Michigan sentiment print coming in low with inflation hot. If we'd seen them both moving in the same direction, like if this was hot and this was hot, then we probably would have seen stock keep selling off. So it was a split print. We couldn't really take a trade off it, even though that inflation is in the Fed's focus. So as I said, it's simple today, and it's complicated. So simply, we're just continuing on that positive sentiment from Friday. Complicated, we've got tariffs going, we've got the Fed meeting on Wednesday, and we've got US involvement with the Houthi rebels in the Yemen. And that is seen as a way of hitting Iran and sending a message to Iran. So the potential for that to deteriorate is quite high. So we have to be aware of that. Yeah, and it is the first time Trump has done something like this. I don't and from what I've read is the gloves are off with this. That's the expression being used. So it's really, it's going to be rough. And then Trump's due to meet Putin on Tuesday as well, and he's trying to hack out that deal regarding Ukraine. So there's a lot going on. We'll have to have the squawk on. Just looking at the calendar for anything else coming up. Lagarde speaking at 2, White House press briefing at 5, and that's the major thing that I can see coming up on the calendar. So having a quick look around markets, equity markets on the front foot, volatility pushing under that crucial 23 level. That's good news for equity markets to potentially continue their move. Commodities just a touch lower, with the dollar having a little bit of a pullback from the little pullback in strength. Now we're continuing to the downside. Majors lifted to the upside. Bond market pretty flat, a little bit of downside in German bonds in their yields after such heavy selling at the end of last week and into going back into the start of the month. So that's where we're at. In terms of inventory levels, on the hourly chart, inventory levels are positive, and we're up sort of 5,000 from the Globex Open. Looking on the 15-minute chart, we can see we're moving up into Friday's value area high. We've had strong buying, and we've got two clear areas where sellers were trapped here at the 5634 and hit the 5633, and we've got a lot of buyers coming in from this 5614 level. If we drop down to the 5-minute, we can maybe see more closely where those buyers are. You can see they're here at the 5615. That's where the majority of buyers are at. And then we've got a lot of sellers coming in around this 5630 who are trapped there. So that standard deviation looks very attractive for buying, as does this 5625 look very attractive for buying. On the 1 hour, we've got trapped sellers potentially coming in from the 31 and the 38. In fact, have we got them trapped there? Let's have a look. Yeah, so we've got sellers trapped at the 38, and we've got the potential for them to be trapped at the 48, but we're in the value area high from last week. So just bear that in mind. So we're right up in a value area high on the weekly and value area high on the 15-minute chart as well, and on the daily. So breakout pullback looks attractive, or break down and look for buyers around that 5625. Projections, well, it's that we keep going higher. Just scrolling out and looking on the daily chart, you can see we had this daily trend line. Look, break and close above that trend line. Najam pointed out last week on the 4-hour chart, it's exactly the level to be looking at. We're looking like we want to have a run back up towards that 5667, which is the R1 pivot today. If we do see a drop down to this sort of 5570 region marked here, key support now. So moving back there, we would expect dip buyers. So projections are either up, down, up, or pullback, higher, higher. So with the dynamic going on, what you'd expect is maybe a little bit of a pullback at the start of the session and then carrying on breaking higher at the second half of the US session. So either way, looking for dip buying. Wouldn't be unreasonable to take a little short down to this value area, so we can have two-way price action if we wanted. Don't see any problem with that. Just got to be remember that the force, as it were, is that everything wants to go higher. And if you look at volatility, that is trending lower and underneath that crucial 23 level. So we have to bear that in mind. I'm just going to make sure I can see all my charts up on the other screen. I'm just going to quickly duplicate that, pop up the VIX, just make sure I can see that. There, that's great. So that's what I'm seeing. Paul, what's your take on today as we start the week? How are you seeing things?
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that. That's pretty much it. We'll just kind of see how it goes.
It's a funny day, you know. It's simple and complicated today. I think that's the only way I could describe it.
Yeah, there isn't anything major. I mean, we had retail sales this morning.
Yeah.
That's one thing to point out, which actually did affect the E-mini if you look at the price.
Yeah, it did.
But like, you know, what are you going to really say about that? So we've got like Najam says, we've got a busy week ahead. So we'll see what we get from here.
I mean, let's look. You're right. Let's look at the retail sales. It was weaker than markets were expecting. Priors revised lower. Did it change interest rate expectations? That'll be an interesting thing to look at. 14 minutes ago, wasn't really an impact, was there, in the short-term interest rate markets?
Yeah, I don't know, because I'd have to be there like closer to the time, but yeah.
But what I mean, but now it's certainly not lasting.
Oh yeah.
If you see what I mean, and if anything, look, interest rates are expected to be a bit higher. So my thinking was, if this is weaker, you would expect the Fed to be more likely to cut interest rates with those downward revisions.
Yep.
Which would be why you'd expect a little bit of upside in the E-mini. But if there was a big shift,
right,
you'd expect these lines to be the other way around, and this to have dipped down a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe, or at least the curve to be a bit lower.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there it is there. So quite choppy on the release, but before then carrying on higher.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Should be a good day to trade though.
Yeah. Got some nice good levels here.
Is Brett in the room today? I know he was going to try to join.
No Brett at the moment. Yeah. Okay. So we've got 12 minutes until we kick off. Just see what we've got on the 5. Buyers. A little bit of late entrapment up there. All right. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting what the Fed makes of all this tariff malarkey we've been having. I'm looking at their GDP projections to have a sense of how serious they see it, really. I think that's where they can show it, where they're worried. Point of control still right up here at the 5660.
Making you aware of some comments from EU's Callas. Just note, sad to hear US withdrawing funding for Radio Free Europe. Just making you aware, seeing some remarks here from EU's Callas.
Why is the US funding a European radio station? That's weird.
Are we? Is that what they said?
something like, yeah, sad the US is withdrawing funding for Radio 3 Europe.
We literally fund way too many things that we shouldn't fund.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This move is pretty intense one way.
It is, isn't it?
Get a little bit of a reversal here. The big area at the 56.74. It's like a one to watch out for coming back in. Yep. Little resistance. I don't know if it's a big area, but it's a resistance. It's the next one.
And also that that swing point here from 7th of March. That is interesting area. Yeah. And we're coming to a 15-minute close as well. We've got all those sellers trapped. So I'm happy to buy in at the first possible area, which is at the 5649 in terms of recent price. Or actually even better, the 5650 maybe, just this swing point here that we've had price moved up to, pulled back from, and now broken out. Right, so I'm happy to go in here with a breakout play if we can get in at the 5650. Let's see where the point of control is. As I'm saying, from time price opportunities, P shape, excess at lows and poor highs. Price opens above Friday, point of control, everything is positive for longs. It's longs. Subject to the Donald. Just hit an obvious kind of resistance area here at the R1. So just be aware of that. And also this swing point here, which is that obvious important area Paul just pointed out. So if we can get above that, it does open up the way to 720, the next R2 pivot. Volatility continue to move lower. All right, here we go. We're trying for a breakout of the 15-minute range. So let's have a look, see how far we go. Is it on volume? Yes, it is.
And a quick spot check across markets after US cash equity open. US indices have seen upside since the open, with the Nasdaq 100 up 0.5, as is the S&P 500, while the small cap Russell 2000 is currently up 0.8, and as such the outperformer. As such, we're seeing US equity futures at session highs across the board. In terms of sectors, they are exclusively in the green, with energy sitting atop of the pile up 1.2%, while consumer discretionary and utilities flat are the relative underperformers. In terms of the upside for energy, it is buoyed by the gains seen in WTI and Brent, which are up roughly 70 cents a barrel respectively. In the FX space, the dollar, that is slightly softer on the session, currently trading around the 103.54 mark, having been as low as 103.45 earlier. The Kiwi and the Aussie are the two outperformers in the G10 space, with the yen underperforming, while treasuries, they have been choppy since the earlier US
I'm in on that 15-minute breakout. Stop.
Nice.
Curve, with the lower end of the curve seeing losses and the long end relatively flat. In terms of what's ahead for the session at the top of the hour, we are awaiting the NAHB Housing Market Index data for March and also business inventories for January. But do note, in wake of the business inventories data, we're going to look out for the latest Atlanta Fed GDP Now tracker for Q1, which is currently modelling growth of negative 2.4%, albeit does come with a few caveats. As mentioned, that data will be at the top of the hour.
We've got a breakout of the 15-minute opening range on volume, so that's absolutely fine to go for. The only downside, I'm into this developed value area, so that's the only negative to it. But let's give it a go. So those sellers have trapped those breakout buyers, so you could argue at this point that the breakout is off. So I'm out of that. Let's have a look. Now, we've got the point of control right up there now, so this could be a good area for a retracement. Let's see. Got 5-minute buyers getting trapped now as we speak. Sellers trapping the breakout buyers. It's not on. Let's have a look. So I'm happy now to buy in at a deeper level. So 5650 would be happy to buy in there. Still expecting this to continue its way higher, but just a little bit of a pullback. So lots of trades today on March the 17th. Opened a new Apex account for 300,000. So I need a 20,000 target. So 2,500-ish on the way today, which isn't bad for the day, and one trade on my live accounts. So starting with the session, we came to it sentiment positive. We were expecting pretty upside on that general positive narrative. So I was looking to get in longs as quickly as I could. At the start of the session, I was looking to buy in from any retracement that we got down to the daily VWAP. We got a move close to it, but didn't get it. Then it was just watching one-way traffic all the way into the open. And the first attempt I had was on a breakout trade above the 15-minute opening range. Looked at that, got a breakout on the 5671, and it was on pretty good volume. So happy to go with it. Took the breakout here, and price went back down the other side. And so I took first trade of the day, a couple of losses. Then got the deeper pullback towards that sort of first standard deviation area. And because I was looking to dip buy from the start of the session, got in. I actually had my entry at the standard deviation, didn't quite get it. And then as I saw it sort of start moving the other way, I just took it for a long, took a very quick position to the upside. Then tried another buy as we tried to break out of these highs, and didn't get it, so took a very small loss on that. Then got another pullback, added in a second position and a third position, trying to go with the breakout. And then as we hovered around these highs, gave it sort of 10-15 minutes, and then when it was obvious we weren't breaking out, just closed the position for the profit, largely driven by this one position off the standard deviation, then waiting again. That was the trade I also took on my live account, just with these sellers here getting trapped. So sellers trapped on the 5-minute pullback, bought in, did the delay, and just took it off for a small profit. Then we had the move back lower. Then we had buyers coming in, trapping these sellers. So again, a couple of positions long, gave it a little bit of time. Again, it was clear that price wasn't moving higher, so closed out for a small profit. Then we had a nice trade to the downside here. Delta, you see, had been just starting to move towards the low side. And we had breakout buyers at this level here at the 5659. So dropping down to the 1-minute chart, it became very obvious that we were just sort of breaking out this little range. So we came down and you start to see volume really building here. We had a push to the downside. We sort of closing underneath these buyer areas here. And with those buyers trapped, a number of them entered a short on momentum. A little bit speculative, want that momentum to carry on. Then we got the close. Yep, that's fine. We got the next position, which was clearly underneath the whole range. That gave me confidence to enter a second position. And then I think the point of control moved down there as well. So just entered a third position up against that. And then a fourth position as we went down through those lows as the position was confirmed, took profit down the daily VWAP. Then it was back to the original thesis of the day, which was buying the dip. And I was looking to buy off the daily VWAP. We moved just near it. And again, I entered. It was close enough and took profit as we went into the confirmed value area. Then we had another opportunity to enter long against the daily VWAP. Took it. By this stage, I was quite high up on the day and I didn't want to give anything away. So I moved it to break even quite quickly, knocked out for break even, then had the last trade of the day, which you can see here on the 5-minute, which is just this buyers here trapping these sellers. So took slight pullback, position long, up into the area, took profit. And that was the long recap today.
That's not too bad.
2,441 on that, and I've only 70,500 to go. So there we go.
Well, but 10%. So
yeah,
that's good.
Take care, everybody.
All right, everybody.
See you.
Take care.
See everyone. Bye for now.